Ми е интервју со Тереза Рибеиро, представник за слобода на медиумите на ОБСЕ. Добро дојдовте во студиото на Мија. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure for you to be here in a Mија Press Center, so we can talk a little bit about different aspects of media functioning. Tomorrow, the 9th South European Media Conference starts in Skopje. Briefly tell us what will be the focus of the discussion at this conference.
Okay, first of all, the title of the conference is quite explicit regarding the focus. It's about media freedom and how media freedom can, in a way, contribute to support and promote democracy. So I would say this is the overarching topic of the conference, and to understand how media freedom can really promote democracy and sustain democracy, we are going to discuss the main challenges that are currently impacting the media freedom ecosystem. And among them, of course, safety of journalists is a very important one. It's a priority for the representative on freedom of the media since the beginning. So the mandate has 25 years, and since the very start of the mandate, safety of journalists was always a high priority and continues to be a high priority. We are also going to address the issues related to artificial intelligence, because it is impacting.
Yes.
It's impacting very strongly the information landscape. So we need really to look at it, to understand what are the challenges. We are also going to discuss the harassment of online journalists. This is another dimension of the safety of journalists, with a particular impact on women journalists. We will look at sustainability of the media. So I would say that the regulators, the public service, so all the topics we hope will be addressed in a comprehensive way, and in a way that help us to understand how important it is to deal with all these issues and to tackle all these challenges in order to have a healthy and functioning democratic system.
You already mentioned artificial intelligence discussion panels. In your opinion, you have quite experience in media regulations and what's going on in media in different directions. How much can artificial intelligence change journalism and the postulates on which it rests?
I think the first thing to be clear about is that artificial intelligence definitely brings a lot of benefits, not only regarding media freedom, but for all dimensions of our life. So it's a positive technology, but at the same time we see more and more discussions around the negative impacts on artificial intelligence. And the problem is, how can we take advantage of the benefits and at the same time being able to address the most difficult or the most challenging aspects related to artificial intelligence. And definitely it will impact a lot freedom of expression because of the business model, and this is a problem because it will clearly what will prevail because of the business model we have right now regarding on artificial intelligence is much more to things that in a way attract the attention of the public, which sometimes it's not exactly the information of public interest that we would like very much to have the public more attached to. So how to deal with it. First of all, we need, and this is a lot, to really find a way, and this is a task for us all, for the governments, but also for the society as a whole, and of course the platforms, they have a big responsibility in it too, which is not to have the business model failures that they have right now, which definitely are not human rights centered. Mm-hmm. So what we need really is to convince the platform, if necessary, in the future, to regulate some of the failures of the business model of the platforms, in order to be sure that some of the most damaging aspects for media freedom will not be the prevalent ones, and this is important. And for example, what for the reporting, in a way, artificial intelligence is in a way replacing the journalists.
Yes, that's
regarding
that's
the editorial
questions.
Work of the journalists, yes. Precisely because of the business model. So what we would like very much is to have a business model of the platforms that really are much focused on information of public interest, who is much more focused on the kind of journalism, of content that can really contribute to the public debate, that can really contribute to promote democratic participation and an active citizenry. Yes. This is what we want.
Last week, Reporters Without Borders released the 2023 World Press Freedom Index. North Macedonia is ranked 38 out of 180 countries, climbing 19 spots, comparing to its ranking previous year, 2022. What is your take on press freedom in the country, in North Macedonia?
Okay, you know, it's not up to me to rank the countries, of course,
yes,
as RSF does, but definitely what I have witnessed in the last months are really encouraging regarding advancements in media freedom in North Macedonia. So this is very clear. We have now the draft amendments to align the law on audiovisual with the European directive, also the amendments on the criminal code to provide journalists with additional protection, which is very positive. Also the appointment by the prosecutor, the Skopje prosecutor, to have a special prosecutor to really ensure that the cases that involve journalists have in a way a dedicated attention. All these are very positive measures. So I'm really encouraged to see all these new developments, definitely.
You mentioned the positive aspects that maybe lead to this better ranking, but despite such improvement, a remark was made on the political context. Strong political polarization and the two largest parties and the ruling one that is in power and the opposition, that they are creating parallel media services over which they exert their political and economical influence. How do you see this situation and what is the solution in your viewpoint?
You know, unfortunately, this is not only a reality that we can witness in North Macedonia. On the contrary, we can see the same phenomena all across the OBSE region. What we see is strong polarization, and again, this is also very much linked to the rise of social media, the political polarization that in a way also reinforce the trends of populism in not only in the OSCE region but in the world, and we have this kind of trend that is a very negative one, and linked to it, what we see is a kind of constant campaign of discrediting journalists. And why? Because populists, they don't want scrutiny. They don't want to have the intermediation of journalists. This is a threat for populists. And that's the reason why we see this kind of constant polarization. And in small markets, where
like
media do not have, I would say, this kind of financial health that allows them to be completely independent from the different interests, they tend to be easy prey of political interests, business interests, and of course it doesn't help in the end to create the right media landscape we would like very much to have.
The Organization for Security and Cooperation of Europe mission in Skopje, you already mentioned the safety of journalists, is actively working on projects to strengthen the safety of journalists, and the latest report released by Reporters Without Borders notes that journalists are regularly the targets of verbal attacks nowadays, and are also exposed to legal pressure and abusive prosecution, so-called slaps.
Yes.
What is your view on the safety of journalists in North Macedonia? You already mentioned there's some improvement, but what's the situation in your opinion now?
Again, this kind of lawsuits, this kind of verbal attacks, constant harassment of the journalists is part of this strategy to discredit the journalists. And that's the reason why this is so dangerous, and that's the reason why the RFOM as such really looks at all these issues as important priorities. We need to protect journalists because lawsuits, they completely exhaust the media resources, human and financial, and of course it destroys media. And we need really to fight against this trend, which is a very dangerous one. We published last year a report on legal harassment, and I hope it can be a useful guide for the participating states. At the same time, we are working on a project on safety of journalists, and in this project we are looking at the safety of journalists in all its dimensions, which means psychological, working conditions, legal, etc. So it's only with this kind of multifaceted approach that we can really find the right solution. So the idea is to have, by the end of this year, some concrete results that can, in a way, be also very useful for the participating states. It's a project that is gathering around the table the representatives of the different participating states, coming from the media community, from the media sector. It depends on, it's up to the governments to appoint who will be the focal point. And it's a project that is very much hands-on. It's not about to have or to discuss a little abstract recommendations, but on the contrary, is really to have as an outcome concrete measures that has proved already in some of the participating states, or can even also we learn a lot also with the mistakes, and also not to repeat the mistakes. So this kind of discussion, a very open one, but at the same time very well structured and very much oriented to have this set of measures, I think it can be very useful, and I'm confident that it will be the case, and in the end it would be a good support for the participating states, those that really want to protect journalists.
Yes. Reporters Without Borders, as well as European Union Mission of Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, and all media association constantly know stagnation in North Macedonia of reforms in terms of public service, broadcasting service, as if there is no way out of this situation. And financial sustainability is also in question. So given the reduction in funds compared to what the law provides, what is the way forward? Because like we are stuck in these reforms, maybe 7 years, 8, I don't know. We have a little steps, but it's not just even in little steps.
One of the main, one of the key pillars of an healthy media landscape is definitely to have a strong and independent public service media, not only audiovisual but also the agency, the BIA, which is a public service media and a very important one. I know that this is a trustworthy source of information for many other media outlets. So they are the ones in which that have the obligation to ensure that the information they provide the citizens with is a reliable one. So, but of course for them to carry out their work, they need to be properly funded, and they need to have independent boards. Those two things go together, and they have to go together. We know that the countries, they are struggling with the financial crisis, with inflation, and with so many issues that unfortunately are impacting the different participating states. It's sometimes difficult to really comply with the commitments, and one of them, and I know that there was this in the case of North Macedonia, if I'm not mistaken, there was a commitment of assign 1% of the budget to the public service media. And sometimes it's not possible, and it's going back and forth, but I strongly recommend sometimes it's better to have less, a little bit less if possible, but because it's more realistic in some cases, but to stick to this. This is very important.
Like
let's define a rule, and let's respect the rule, even if we have to negotiate and to have a little bit less. But let's stick to what we think it should be the rule, and the right rule, and the rule that is affordable for the country. Let's be realistic. We need to be realistic too.
The Media Information Agency is also public service, is under the state. Recently there was a debate about creating a law for media, special law for media. How do you think state news agencies that are very important source of information nowadays, especially in fight with fake news, how should they be financed and at the same time remain professional and immune to all kinds of influence as much as possible?
And again, it's like the audiovisual public service, definitely to respect high professional standards. It's very important to have, again, a proper funding, and also an independent board of governance, and to have an independent governance that in a way protects the agency of any capture coming from business interests or political interests. I would say this would be, my main recommendations. I know that with the support of the OSCE mission here in Skopje, you organize a big debate around the possible ways to ensure long-term sustainability for the agency. As far as I know, the recommendations were not yet published. Yes. I will be more than happy to look at them when they will be published. And I hope that really you can find the best way to protect the agency in order to allow it to continue the fantastic work it's doing in the country.
Thank you very much for this interview, and I wish you a very fruitful and successful conference.
Thank you very much, my pleasure.
Days.
Thank you. Thank you, bye-bye.